This is Meri at the Meri Atelier, and it is Monday morning, July something or other. Let me check. Well, I think it's Monday morning, July the 9th. And no, 15th, 16th, 17th, I don't know. Whatever morning it is, I'll look it up later. But it's the wee hours of the morning over here in the States. It's probably about 3:45 in the morning, and I don't expect any of my friends over here in the States to pop into my live session. I expect that they are all catching up on their sleep. But I couldn't sleep. And I thought, I don't have a Mornings with Meri video. So I thought that I would just come on live stream and do one and see if I couldn't have something ready for everybody when they wake up over here. Besides, I just want to do some art, and I really do like the live streams and the fact that I can do my art live. And boy, I'm getting some folks coming in here. Say hello to me. Let me know who you are. I just thought I would go online and do some art, mostly because I don't have a video ready to go. Hi, Anne. Welcome. I'm thinking that the folks who find me on these wee hours of the morning over here, I'm over in the States, I'm thinking that the folks that find me are on the other side of the world. Where are you from, Anne? And good morning to you. Let's see. I'm going to, while I'm waiting for you to answer, I'm going to go over here and see if I can't find my own. Over here, I have a phone where I can. Oh, you're in Florida. Well, I guess it's probably about 4 o'clock or so over there, 4:45, something like that over where you are. You're an hour ahead of me. I'm in Nebraska. I couldn't sleep, and I got inspired, and I wanted to do some art, and I don't have my Mornings with Meri video done. I had kind of a crazy weekend, so I thought, well, I'll just go online and do some art online. Yeah. So let me go over here and get into my chat over here. Find my chat. Oh, I got it. I set up my other phone so that videos, so that I can watch the chat, but it's not showing. Oh, there I am. There we are. So that I can watch chat on my other phone while I'm doing some art. I'm thinking I'm not going to lose my data connection so much in the early morning hours as I do on my regular Friday night streams. Some more folks have come in. Welcome to you. Say hello so that I can say hello back to you. Well, I guess somebody went out. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to sit down. I generally stand up during my live sessions, but I get tired. And it's really not all that easy doing art standing up all the time. I'm going to work in my Society of Idea Collectors, and I'm going to work on a section in it. But before I do that, I kind of want to show where I'm going with some things. So let me get these out of the way, and these. And this is my Society of Idea Collectors that I've been working in 2018, which is really just a folder that I've converted. And, oh look, I've got some fussy cuts in here. And I found, I didn't know what I did with my ABC magazine, and I put it in here. Now, and you may not know what my ABC magazine is, but I had done a challenge on my channel to take a magazine and just start cutting the ABCs out of the pages. And then I started painting them front and back. And this was more of a loosen up type thing, just for fun. I always think of a children's book when I flip through this, and this is just done with craft paint. And I think I got clear over to, well, this is KL. I've done L. I'm painting the front and the back, so I've done M. Oh, I'm further along than I thought I was, but I thought I packed it away because I started organizing my room, and I didn't have time to finish this. I'm clear over to P, painting the backs of this. But I thought I packed it away in a box, but when I opened up this journal this morning, I go, there it is. So now I can finish that, but I'm going to pull it out of here because what I want to really do is talk about, here is my Society of Idea Collectors, and I got another magazine in here that I'm just keeping for inspiration for if I do a mystery project, which I haven't done in a long time. Well, not a long time, but for a couple weeks. But this is kind of a part of my Society of Idea Collectors, but it's not really anything I'm actively working on. This is a list of all my sections, at least the ones I had in 2017. But in 2018, I'm doing more Dee Dee Willingham's. Society of Idea Collectors is Dee Dee Willingham's project. She's got a whole playlist of doing Society of Idea Collectors, and I am just caught up in it. I love it. It's just right down my alley. It's what I like to do. I started probably in about, was it August? July of August of 2017, and then I started another journal in 2018, and these were all the sections for 2017, but I have not been using as many of these as sections in 2018. Kind of got off on, she's doing this year what she calls syllables, where she pulls out little bits and pieces of her art that she keeps in another binder. And she's calling these syllables because they're just bits and pieces of what may be used on another page. So they're a bit, they're a part. And she does a weekly page throughout the year. And I've been keeping up through May. Now in here I've got March. I'm taking my sections out of here and putting them in this other binder, which I'll show you in a bit, but Keeper from Shannon Green. So I've got January, February, March, April, and May. I've got April done, but I've been doing the pages like this. Like this is my March page for week 1, week 2, week 3. Well, I might have 10 weeks of these, but I've got these page flips where I am doing these by month. I'm doing a page for each week in the month of March. And then here's my calendar section where I kind of jot down things that have occurred during that month. Not that I do planner stuff, but it just helps me review. Like here on Friday, March the 16th, I had a Friday Live, and I did a giveaway for bunny Easter eggs. Oh, you're subscribed to Dee Dee? Isn't she the greatest? She just inspires me. Every time she puts out a Society of Idea Collectors, I watch that video over and over and over again. So I got March done. Here's the ending pages of, April. These are the ending pages of April. And I'm just letting these, the little things I got in Happy Mail. This, I think, came from Karen Sallows in Canada. This tulip print, and I just love it. And here's some fussy cuts out of a magazine. Here's another one of those flower prints, an ATC. This was sent to me by, I think it was Art Out Your Heart, or Art Your Heart Out. She sent me this, and she made a magnet out of one of her pieces of art, and I just love it. And I left it like that. I did put it in my page, but I left it just like that. So, and then this is getting, oh no, that was March. This is getting into April. And this also was a piece that was gifted to me, and I just love this. I did not do anything to this piece. I think she was playing with ink on photo paper, and it just reminds me so much of an April day. Lynn, I call her Lynn in Canada, sent me this. And some other things, and I was doing my little bunny Easter eggs here, and I was playing with fussy cuts, and then these are my April pages. So I've got April finished as much as I'm going to. Let's see what's going on here. I got a bobby pin in there. Let's see if I can't, what I'm doing here. One of my eggs is sticking to the page. Not everything in art journaling works all the time. But that's the way it is. That's interesting that it would do that. I'm going to leave it just like that, because this is kind of like a scrap page anyway. I got some old DNC labels here. I made a bobby pin embellishment here and a bobby pin embellishment there that stuck to my page. So I am going to do a section in May. I'm working on May, and I have May. Let me show you May here. That's a piece that I put to the side. Let me get it out. These are my May pages. I don't have May written on here, but I did a lot of planting our gardens. We had a very rainy spring, but I went ahead and planted my flowers. Now, my Gaillardia, one or two of those come up. I'm not sure what happened to those, but my morning glories, oh my goodness. We've got them planted around this wagon wheel. I'm going to have to take a picture when they're just about ready to start blooming. But we have this old wagon wheel out in the backyard, and I planted those morning glories at the base of that wagon wheel, and they have grown up and just covered that wagon wheel. But I saved my seed packages, and I made little pockets, and I have some little tags that I made that fit into these pockets. So that's kind of my week 1 of May. And then I did, let me pull this out. I did an abandoned places page talking about Dee Dee Willingham. She does a lot of abandoned places books, and I'm into so much that I don't get an entire book done. But I found this picture with just the, I think it was it a National Geographic? I don't know what magazine I got it out of, but it was a picture of eggshells. And I thought, oh, that's perfect for an abandoned place. And so I did an abandoned places page in there. And I'm having that for May, and then here's some more flower seed. And then for my calendar pages, I switched it out entirely. Instead of doing like what I've done in the other months with these calendar pages, let me get back here to April, where I actually stamped out the different days, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and jotted down something for every day. What I've done is, in the month of May, I started doing my Mornings with Meri art journal. And I try to do something every morning with Mornings with Meri, and that's kind of what this video is too. I'm going to call this a Mornings with Meri live session. And so what I did with the month of May into June, and I'm getting ready to do it for July, is I took pictures. Well, actually, I made videos of every day, and I put them up, and I had snapped a picture of every page, and I have those on my daily videos, but I took those pictures that I snapped and I printed them off in photographs. And so those are my May calendar pages. So this is May 1, May 2. I did little flowers here. May 1, May 2. And I've got something from every day in May that I did in my Mornings with Meri art journal. And that was so fun to do. So I've really combined 2 art journals in one. I've taken my Mornings with Meri art journal, taken the pictures, and then I'm doing kind of like little calendar pages to go back and remind me what I've done in my Mornings with Meri art journal. And so you can see I've got probably more than 31 pages because I've got some extra ones. I attended a collaboration, Painting is Fun, in May. And this is a picture of the collaboration that I did. I don't paint a lot on canvas, just simply because after they're done, I don't have anywhere to put them. I don't frame them, and I don't have any wall space. And I think what I'm going to do with this canvas is that I'm going to cut it down to fit in my art journal. I think that I can do that, the actual canvas page. But right here's a picture of what I did for Painting is Fun collaboration group. So I have some more. I didn't have pictures. I got a few more. I stopped on the 24th of May. And because that's when I had these pictures taken. So I have, when you saw that picture, these photographs here when I first came in, Find Smiles Inside, I went ahead and developed the rest of them, and I have all of June's in here. So I'm going to, what I want to do is finish out May, and then for June, I'm going to follow the same thing I've started on my pages. And what I did is I did some metallic. These are just composition book pages, and I painted them a beautiful metallic. And they're kind of sticking here. Not totally. They're not too bad. It's a metallic paint, so you've got to expect some. But the sticking doesn't bother me too much if it does, you know, if I can pull it apart pretty easy, and I can here. Well, this one is kind of sticky. But I know I can put wax on them and all of that. I'm not ready to do that yet. However, last night I was in a live stream with Tanya McGuire, and in my Mornings with Meri, I've fallen into this little challenge of doing illuminated borders. And last night in our live stream, or in Tanya's live stream, she was doing jelly printing. I have finally gotten a jelly print plate, but I have not been inspired to do jelly printing. And I was sitting there watching her, and I'm going, I wonder if I can do my illuminated borders on the jelly plate. And I mentioned that in the live stream, so Tanya and Janet were both in there, and of course they jumped right on that and worked out a way to where you can jelly plate the borders of these pages, and that's what I want to do for June. I've already got the background all painted and everything. I have my photographs, and I just want to jelly print my pages for June. So, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm just kind of showing you the progression of my Society of Idea Collectors, kind of an update on Society of Idea Collectors. So I'm ready to work on July. I've got some other things going on here. I've got blank pages that I cut and everything. I'm going to set this aside. This is January, February. This is January and February. I thought I would just kind of thumb through this for anybody who happens to be watching. I put a rubber band around it just to kind of keep the pages together. But this is how I started out my Society of Idea Collectors. And this is so fun. This is so fun to do. Here's January. This is a doily, a photocopy of a doily that was also sent to me by Karen Salos, and she's from Canada. And I go, this is perfect. I love the colors. And this actually follows what Dee Dee has done. She starts out with January, and then she takes her little calendar squares, and I just kind of followed her there. I had made some ATCs. If I can get one out here. And did I make a... I might have made a... Why it's sticking on me. What am I doing here? There. This was the ATC that I had made for January. It's a New Year's ATC. And so I just kind of put it in there. I need to figure out what's going on with this. I'll just put it there now. It'll hold it there. I got one on the back too. And a tag was sent to me. Just beautiful. A postcard tag. I think this came from... this came from Dawn at Let's Make a Mess Today. Beautiful colors. It goes with this page. This is week 2. The background page was from an envelope that I received in Happy Mail. I think from Aunt Beck. And here's another ATC that I made. It was a bingo ATC. For the first 3 months, I was in a design group. It was kind of like a promotional design group for recycled parts for art. And this is the instructions for it. So I just kind of slipped it in. This is all Midori style. And that's what I like about this. And then I go into my calendar pages. I had actually carved the stamps here. I've kind of gotten away from doing this because I'm doing those photographs now. Here's some little scissors that I made. Thanks for watching art. We had a some video hops when YouTube went through the monetization. Why their partnership program, they changed all the rules of who they would monetize and everything, and some of the smaller channels were struggling to keep up. So we did a thanks for watching art video hop. And then I had just had some extra pages at the back that I just put Blue Book images down. I wrote down here, never bored. Never bored at the Meri Atelier. And then here's some inchies that a page of inchies that I'd done. This was actually a photocopy of it. I think I gave away the inchies themselves. Here's an ATC that was sent to me. Here's some more little calendar pages. So this is really weeks 3 and 4 of January. And this is a painting that I had done of Penelope. And actually, I think I did this painting because I had given her a new... She had orange, kind of like an orange eyelash yarn here. And I updated her to like a white eyelash yarn. Because she's a silver fox now. She's letting her hair grow out. She's at the retirement age, which is kind of where I'm at. So if I'm there, Penelope's going to be there too. So I did a painting of her. Just kind of having fun. I think it was one of those days I just wanted to do some art. Just sat down and worked on it. And then I was really into mind mapping. This is still January here. This is January's mind maps. I was mind mapping words. And that was fun. I might get back into mind mapping some words. Now, I was doing them pretty consistently here in January because I was having all sorts of fun with mind maps. I was having so much fun with this dog shaking all the... You know how dogs shake their bodies to get all the wet off. And the word was spine. And the quote, I pick out a quote, and the quote was, "Stop a minute right where you are. Relax your shoulders, shake your head and your spine like a dog shaking off cold water. Tell the imperious voice in your head to be still." Boy, I need that for every month of the year. But I knew I had this image, and I looked and looked and looked for it, and I finally found it, so I put it in there. And relax, and animal. here was, I picked a black cat for my animal, and the quote came from Groucho Marx, and I just love it. And he says, "A black cat crossing your path signifies that the animal's going somewhere." I mean, like, we tried to assign all this superstitious stuff to a black cat, and Groucho Marx, who's really has a lot of common sense here, you know, he kind of comes across as being comical, but here he really says something that really makes a lot of sense. Is that black cat crossing that road, the only thing it signifies is that cat is going somewhere. I love it. So I've done a lot of mind mapping here, fun mind maps. I might get back into that. Society of Idea Collectors mind mapping. So that's what this is all about. This one I had a lot of fun with the monkey. The word on January 24th was monkey. And I was getting on Google and looking up things about monkey, and I ran across the monkeys that they sent up into space. And initially, when they were first, you know, they didn't want to send humans up into space until they, well, I guess you could say it was animal research. They used the animals to see how the animals would survive the space travels. And I guess the first few times the animals did not make it. But Mrs. Baker came back. Miss Baker. They named this monkey Miss Baker. And she came back, and here I did a little sketch of her in the rocket. They just had her in a little tube. They put her in a rocket, and they shot her up into space. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I'm celebrating the fact that Miss Baker came back. And she came back, and I go, you know, I had put down here, she never got to look out the window. I'm going, maybe she'd creep out if she looked out the window, but I'm going, oh, she probably never even knew that she was going up into space. I mean, she probably didn't know, but that's one of the things that hit me is that, but when she came back, that little monkey, I was reading about it, and she lived a good life and a lot of the children, a lot of school children, oh, she lived to be 27, and a lot of the children who were studying space in school and space travel and that had written letters to Miss Baker. She got a lot of letters from school children. So I enjoyed this so much, but I celebrated Miss Baker coming back from space in my mind map. So, and then I kind of got out of it in here where it was cat and swing, yes, note. I got into other projects, so I should get back into doing this. And then here I was experimenting with, starting to experiment with my illuminated borders and my fine line paint applicator using metallic paint in them. And I had kind of it turned out pretty good. I'm not sure that anybody watching the video can see this, but that metallic paint, what I was using was coming out of a jar. And it was really kind of hard to get from the jar into my fine line paint applicator. And then I found that it was thicker than I intended it to be. I had a little trouble getting it to flow. So, but I did get this page finished. And then in January, I did a little series where I was studying how to sketch small faces. I can sketch a face on a page, and I have all this room to work. But when you work small, in a small area, it's a lot harder to do a really nice face without it looking like clip art. And I wanted to experiment with that. And so I started out using adding machine tape as a scroll. And this was all, if you look back into January and see my videos, you could see where I was working on this scroll. I'd unroll it and do my sketching for the day, and then I'd roll it up on the other side. Well, I unrolled all that and broke it out into a page here, a section in my Society of Idea Collectors. And this is what this is. Well, then my little Miss Maisie, who is my kind of like the little gal that I like to sketch a lot. She's kind of like the little gal in my head. She goes, "Help, I'm Maisie. I'm trapped in Mary's brain and I can't get out." And then Janet was watching it and she said, "Tell Maisie that she can get out just by telling us a story." And then Maisie goes, "You've been filming me?" And I'm going, "Look here, Miss Maisie." And she starts to pout. And I say, "You look here, Miss Maisie. I was just filming a sketch and you jumped onto my page." And then in between all of that, I was sketching these little small faces from photographs. But I'm still not happy with my tiny, tiny faces. This one is pretty good. And I know that you're getting I'm not zoomed in on it, but I'm pretty happy with this. But a lot of my faces here are, I don't want to say they're cartoonish. I want to, even though I've got these blocked out, that it looks like you're reading like a funny paper or something. I see these faces as being more clip art faces. They're not, it's really hard to get a detail on a small face. So that's what I was playing with in January. She got a little tan on there. I think I had messed up her face, and then I went over it with white, and because the paint was still wet and everything, it just kind of grayed it out a little. But so I was having fun with that. That's what this section is all about. I did quite a bit of those. I think I did one almost every day in January. It goes on here. And then this very last section, this very last page, is there a page in between there? Is this the last? This is awfully thick. That thick page, you know, that's the last one. We were doing that, thanks for watching art, supporting the smaller channels. And here's Meri at the Meri Atelier, and here's my little Miss Maisie, and we're sitting on a rug in her room, and she's watching art videos. Miss Maisie and Meri. So, and I already showed this was my, oh, this is my February. This is more of the inchies that I, and I had been sent some more happy mail. In the background, this Valentine, this was a Valentine that was napkin that was sent to me, and then I did some fine line paint applicator, and I was carving stamps. I think there was a challenge in February of faces. Was it faces? And I did all my faces on carved stamps, and then I made little hearts out of them. That's what this is. These are my February art pages. Here's a tag. I done an order from Recycled Parts for Art, and Jerry always, when you send off when you order from her, when she sends it back, she always sends back an art tag. I love that she does that. And more February pages here. I bound this. This is really as a flip in, and I put it in with fabric. I had some fabric that was really music printed on it. It was red, and I go, well, that works for February. So I glued this side and put the fabric down, and then glued that side. When that was dry, I flipped it and then did the kind of like the binding of the flip on this side. So this is really a flip for February. Some Valentines that was sent to me. Just some happy mail that I got in the month of February. And here's some more. I'm pretty sure this came from Lucia McGill. It's a tag, a wonderful tag. Here's an envelope that I received right here. I think this came from Becky, Aunt Beck. Yeah, Becky, Aunt Beck's Creations. And here's the flip side of that, of my stamps that I carved for the faces for February. And here's where I stamped them off. This is my February faces, my little stamps that I carved. And then I put those in between my calendar pages for February. So fun to do. More had extra pages at the back of it, so I just did glue booking. Some more glue booking images that I closed out with here. Because I like to glue book too. And I did some reverse collage around the borders there. Some more of my February faces, stamps. Erasers. I carved all those faces out of erasers. That was fun to do. 29 faces in 2018, stamp erasers. Then, in March, we had a doodle challenge. And I decided to take it up a step. And I used this little book. And I doodled with the X-Acto knife. And let me tell you, that was fun. That was really fun to do. And I'm really happy with how these pages turned out. I can just flip through them. While they were wet, after I had cut the pages, I cut them while they were still white, but then I inked them. And I think I used ink tints on these. And while they were wet, they were hard to handle. But after they've been in this book and, you know, the pressure of my entire book being under other books and everything, these pages have really straightened out. And I just enjoy these so much. I get so inspired. Here, you can't see it, but it's a butterfly and some flowers. And I just did different things. I was just really doodling with the X-Acto knife instead of a pencil. This one was fun to do. So, yeah, I've done quite a bit of art here in who's here? Ruth? Hi, Ruth. And Arlene. I'm just here chattering away to myself, really, looking over my Society of Idea Collectors. She has to go to work. Oh, Ruth, thanks for popping in, and have a good day at work if you're still in here. If you're not still in here, I'll be thinking of you. It's Monday morning. My heart goes out to you that have to go to work in the mornings. But, I guess you do what you gotta do, don't you? And those days are, I think, over for me. I call myself an unwilling retiree. I was not ready to retire when I retired. Downsized from a job and not ready for it. But I'll tell you this, having my art and my art friends and doing these videos, I cannot tell you, this keeps me busy. This keeps me focused. I won't say it's my job because I do not make this a business. I will not make my art a business. I refuse to do that. It's okay for other people who want to sell their art, who want to teach classes, and, you know, I'm all for it if that's where you want to go. But it becomes less fun for me when I have to do something. I worry about, am I getting my point across? If I was teaching, are the students getting the value that they're expecting out of the class? I'm done with all that. I just want to go play and have fun. So, but I will say, having art to do really has helped me through this transition in my life from having to work every day. And let me tell you, I worked. When I was growing up, even when I was going to school, I had to work. I had to work and to pay my tuition and to pay the bills and that. I would work two jobs and come home and grab 3 hours of sleep and go to work again. And probably more so, I look back on it and I wish I could have had more time if I was going to school to concentrate on going to school. I didn't do poor in school, but I think I don't know how long I've been spinning. There's 7 people in here. Welcome to the folks who've come in. Maria. Welcome, Ruth. I don't know if you're still here. Arlene. I just came on to, I'm really getting ready to play in my Society of Idea Collectors art journal, but I was going through, looking at it. I have not had this out in a few weeks, looking at what I've done so far in 2018. So I thought that I'd just get it out and kind of go through some of the pages here. These are what I'm calling my experiment pages. I was experimenting with embossing, and I have this technique I call embossed drippage, where I'm using glycerin, and I let it run down the glycerin run down the page, and then I emboss the drips. Kind of interesting. Here I'm playing with my fine line paint applicator over some metallic, it looks like. I forget exactly what I was doing here. Here I'm experimenting with the acrylic inks. Got my acrylic inks through. If Packer Dye would have not come into a chat session one day and say, hey, Hobby Lobby has $6 acrylic ink on sale for $1.50, I would not. I was kind of planning to go shopping the next day, but I'm going to Hobby Lobby. And I did. I had just gotten my YouTube payment. I get paid probably about every 3 months from YouTube, and I try to go and purchase art supplies with it. You're going to cook some breakfast. Oh, Arlene's going to go cook breakfast. But I had purchased the acrylic inks, and I wanted to experiment. I wanted to see if they would soak through on the pages. And so I tried different papers, and here's my acrylic inks. And look, that this one, this orange, soaked through just a little, but these other colors, there's very little soak through on my composition book paper. This is a copy paper. Very little. I can kind of see that there's paint on or something on the reverse, but it's not soaked through. It's more of a shadow thing. So I am happy. I tried the mixed media paper and old book paper. I just wanted to see how the acrylic ink worked on different types of papers. That's what this section is all about. Had fun doing that. And let's see, what else is here? I think I got one more thing. Oh, this is another experiment thing with my embossed drippage. March. Can glycerin be tinted? I was tinting my glycerin. That was fun. And then I embossed it with clear embossing powder. That was really a fun technique. And here I'm working with it more. This is just all experimenting. This is what an art journal is about. Getting in there and experimenting with different techniques. Here I did some embossed drippage on a piece of actually this was out of an old photograph album on black paper. I wanted to see what would happen. Looked like it kind of soaked through a little. Wasn't too happy with that, but I wanted to see how it would react. Then I have one more thing here, and this is a pocket letter that Lucia McGill had sent. And she had this all stuffed, but I took out the stuffings because I wanted to use them. But look. I forget what this says. I was trying to figure out what this says. Art we all one. I think that's what that says. Art we all one. A-R-T we all one. And then she wrote me a nice little note. Oh, Lucia, she sent me... I'm just forever humbled by the happy mail that I get, which I've received notification that I'm getting some more, so look for a happy mail video this week. And I have one that I need to edit, and I'm going to come up with it. I have received so much nice happy mail this year from wonderful people that have just so touched my heart. So that's kind of where my Society of Idea Collectors journal is going, and I'm putting it in this big old wraparound composition sized binder. I really got it upside down here. I need to, this is just a little trinket. Let's put it there. I need to turn it this way. Shannon Green did this. I think she calls these prime cuts. because I asked her, I said, I really like my art journals to wrap around so that as I fill them, that I can expand the cover. And this will get filled in 2018 for sure. So this came from Shannon Green. I'm very happy with it. I'm happy with what she chose to send me. I don't know if she chose it. It was a prime cut, but there's nothing that I want. There's no painting or anything that I want to do with this. I'm happy with it. She told me that it came from a billboard. I think it was a movie called Leftovers. And I think it was more like a Left Behind type movie. But I don't know exactly. I've never watched that movie. I don't know what it's all about. But I love that it came from a Leftovers billboard, because that's kind of what Society of Idea Collectors and all the bits and pieces and all the collaging and all this recycled art that we do, Leftovers is a perfect binder for it. So I'm really happy with that. What I want to do is later I'm going to be watching Dee Dee Willingham. If I've been up all night, I did get a little sleep. But in my community section, I put a link to Tanya McGuire video. After her live session, she did a tutorial on how she painted the borders. She was jelly plating the borders of the page. We kind of got into a discussion of how to do that on the jelly plate in her live session yesterday. And the technique that we discovered, kind of a group discovery, just so inspired me. I'm going to take the pages out of this composition book while I'm talking. And I put a link to her. She did a tutorial after her live session to explain how it's done. And I put a link to that in my community tab. So if you're watching this and you're curious about that video, go to my community tab and go watch her video. I just linked to it. So why I'm telling you that is that I want to prepare my July pages, because it's what, July 16th? I don't know the exact date today. It's Monday. I want to prepare my pages for July and do the little photographs like I did for May and June. Now, I had pulled some pages out, so I've got some single pages here that I don't want. And what I want to do is I'm going to use like a page like this, and I'm going to actually follow Tanya's tutorial, and I'm going to do some illuminated borders on the edges of my pages for July. Now, July has 31 days, and each little folio here has 4 days. So I'll need 8 pages for July. So let me get it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thanks for the folks who've come in and said hello to me this morning while I've been chattering. I understand that you all have to go to work. I was kind of looking at chat there. It looked like a couple of you had to run away. That's all right. I'll stay here and play in my little happy, at my little happy desk, my little happy place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, I'm going to use these Midori style in my Society of Idea Collectors, but I'm going to put illuminated pages on them. Let me put these extras back in here because I'll be using them. I'll be using them. And what I want to do to these is I am going to prepare these pages before I do the jelly plating, because I want them not only to have the illuminated borders, I want them to have a colored background that I can do writing and put my pictures on, do writing down here, maybe write about my day or write about some of my experiences. this is all going to be with Society of Idea Collectors. So I'm going to use my Intense blocks, Ink Intense blocks. This is my old set. And let me tell you, these Intense blocks last. I'll bet you I got these probably in 2012, and I use them like a watercolor palette. And I have used and used and used these. Last year for my birthday, I got the big 72 set. Let me get my... I gave myself a birthday present, and I got this big Inktense 72 set of blocks. And I know these will probably last me several years. So I know they will, because these have lasted me several years. I am very happy with these Inktense blocks. And the reason that I'm using them on these pages is because Inktense, when it dries, it's permanent. And I love that. I love that. Now, having said that, I've been using the lid of my pan as a palette, but because this is metal, I can reactivate this. Let me do this now. Now, it'll be kind of muddy, but Inktense, even though it dries permanent on the paper, will reactivate if you use it on like a ceramic base, or I've been using the lid of my Inktense. Now, this is kind of a brownish color. I don't know if I want this on all my pages. Let me see if I can get some of that yellow. Now, it's all going to go brownish in here. I don't want those colors throughout all of this. But all I'm going to do, and I don't mind if my pages are wrinkly. Let me just pull them out one at a time. I do not mind if my pages are wrinkly. That doesn't bother me at all. I'll put them underneath, and I will put heavy books on top of them and let them dry out. But I'm going to do these pages with like a light wash of my Inktense, and then after they're dry and kind of, you could probably even iron them to smooth them out, I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to do that jelly print technique to make the illuminated borders. And that's really going to be kind of what I use for my July pages. And I should be using blues and reds on here, but I'm going to go with this because I started out. I'll probably put this one toward the back. I usually have a couple extra pages at the back anyway. So this really is, it's kind of prepping for Society of Idea Collectors, but it really is a Mornings with Meri video because I just decided to do an impromptu live this morning rather than record my video. Do you like the sound of the crinkly pages? You have all these supplies? That's cool, Anne. I do too. I like the sound of the crinkly page. The only thing I don't like about, well, now, crinkly pages like this, like the water, and that is fine. But I don't like it when my pages stick together. And I've been having a little, it's summer here, and it's humid. We got the air conditioner on, but still, it gets pretty warm. Now, I'm going to do heat gun alert here. Let's see how this dries. I'm thinking that it'll dry just a teeny bit lighter. And I don't want it super dark because I am going to be doing that jelly print technique on the edges of my pages. And then I'm going to be able to come in here and add my pictures and journal on it. And I want it to be light enough that I can write on it. But I want color in the background. Just splashes of it. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It just has to be artsy. Sometimes you just got to get in there and play. And I'm going, this is a perfect technique. This is a perfect technique for my July section in my Society of Idea Collectors. So, Anne, what are you working on? Are you working on any project right now? Tell me what you're working on. Ooh, I'm liking this. It does dry a lot lighter, and that's exactly what I'm going for. It's kind of sticking to the base of my page here because the back is kind of wet, but ooh, I'm loving that. So you can tell that from the back you can still see the dampness on it. Yeah. Put this in here. Now I'm gonna not worry about this side being damp because I'm gonna paint on it. Ooh, I'm loving that. When this is dry, this will be perfect. This will be perfect. Except I'm gonna go more for the blues here. Blues, and I do have the white. I have some white ink tints that I purchased. Ooh, that's too dark though. Let's kind of spread that out a little if I can. That was the dark blue. Let's get more of a... Now when you do something like this, you kind of have to be careful because when this paper gets really wet, it's easy to tear because this is just composition book paper. So I'm going to kind of have to... You're making an altered book? Cool. Very cool. I love altered books. I don't think, other than altering a book with my reverse collage, I really haven't, well, have I made one? I do my glue books, but I haven't really taken a book and some of the gorgeous things that are going on. I mean, there's some really wonderful altered book techniques going on out there. My very first videos, though, in June of 2013, my very first videos were of an altered book that I'd done for a swap. Now my page is ultra wet. I think I want just a little bit more red on it. Can I do that in here? Now I think this will dry lighter. It's wet, so I think it's pretty dark. Heat gun alert again. Lori Marie. You're watching an artist named Lori Marie. Oh, I'm going to have to look her up. Lori Marie. Glue books. You like doing glue books? Yeah, I'll tell you, I got a stack of magazines and books that I want to do fussy cutting out of. She makes the most amazing altered books. I'll look her up. Now, I think the blue on this page might be a little bit darker than what I wanted. I might get out my big set. Kind of wanted to use the old set because using the old set is perfect for a project like this. I kind of like to get them used up. They're getting there. My yellow is almost gone. Oh, it's getting dry. It's fading. But I have to be careful. When it's wet, it tears real easy. It's already kind of torn up in there. I'm going to look her up, and so what'll probably happen is I'll get inspired. Now, as I'm looking at this in my little phone over here, as I'm looking at this page, it looks a lot, it is dark, but it almost looks like, it looks pretty muddy in my phone over here. It's really got a lot more color than what, let me set this down a minute. It's really got a little bit more color than what this camera is showing me. I'm a lot happier with it being seeing it live, but as it dries, it kind of fades too. This part in here is still wet. I only have 8 pages to do here. It isn't like I'm doing 100 pages of the composition book at once. But if you're watching this and you're curious about that jelly print plate border technique, go to my community tab or just go to Tanya McGuire. She put up a tutorial last night. And boy, did I fall in love with that. I cannot wait to do the borders on this page. On these pages. I might splash some other color on this later. Boy, it almost sealed this page to the desktop. Am I going to get it up? Let's go underneath it with the heat gun. Wow. I did not put wax paper under this. I need to get out my wax paper. It's sticking. I got paint and stuff on my desktop. That's okay. But look how light it's gotten. It's gotten really light as it's drying. But I don't know if I'm going to get it up. I might have to use this as an experiment page here. I need to set my heat gun down. Boy, it really stuck here. I didn't count on that. And it's really stuck in here. Well, that'll teach you, Mary. I'll try to get it up with it. It's still wet here. I have to get out a piece of wax paper on my next page. I'll probably have to do an extra page. I tend to use my drop paper a lot and just as a, I let the painty stuff fall onto my drop paper. Like this is all gold paint on the back here. And I didn't even think about this sticking like it is. I'm not going to get it up. I'm just going to tear it because that was an experiment. I'll use this for, it's kind of got too blue for me anyway. I'll use this for collage paper. This is how you learn. I got to get out some wax paper. I'll just set this aside. But I like this. See? I'm kind of liking that. It'll make nice collage paper. Let me get out some wax paper so that my page doesn't stick. That was a total failure. That's okay. That's how you learn. I use wax paper like crazy. I just bought some new at the store last week. Good thing it's cheap. That's all I can say. Don't tell them how much I use it or they'll charge me. All right, let's try it on the wax paper. Again. You get to see my experiments, my trials, as well as my failures, as well as my successes here. That's what it's all about. Let me, phone cord keeps falling out. All right, let's try. I'm going to go with the reds here first. I want the blue, but I probably should have a bigger brush too, but this is okay. This is... So the reason I'm doing this is I'm prepping pages that I'm going to use in my Society of Idea Collectors for July. And I want the background to be colored, and then I'm going to do some jelly printed borders following Tanya, what she did on her tutorial. Just so fun. Let's get a little, maybe a little orangey in there, some water. I'm really putting the water on this page. I like that other page. It's just that it stuck to my desktop. Let's put some yellow on this. Almost out of yellow. I might order me a yellow Inktense block. Yeah, you know what not to do. Well, you know, not everybody uses their drop paper as a paint palette. I like to, because after my drop paper gets full, I take it off of my desk and use it, collage with it. But I've done one pull several weeks ago, and I haven't even used it all yet. I used some of it for punching out circles. Okay, I'm going to dry this. Heat gun alert. So what's the weather like down in Florida? We've been having some warm days here in Nebraska. Is it warm in Florida? I think it would be. Hurricane season started down that way, hasn't it? I think I heard in the news that hurricane season is starting down that way. I don't envy you guys your hurricanes. Yeah, this is going to pull up a lot easier. Ooh, I'm liking this one now. Hot, hot, hot. I think it would be. We had such a rainy spring. Our garden was late getting planted just because we couldn't get out in the garden. It was so rainy. So we're just starting. Our zucchini did really well. It likes the hot weather though, the hot humid weather. But our other plants are just, our tomatoes aren't ripe yet. They're blooming and they've got green tomatoes, but we're still waiting for our tomatoes to get ripe. I planted some grape tomatoes because I like my little grape tomatoes. Been getting a few ripe ones off of there now. I love fresh vegetables. Our green beans are starting to give us green beans. June 30th through November 30th is, I think you're telling me when the hurricane season is. So you're kind of the second month into it, first month into it. I don't know. I guess you could say we're in tornado season here because tornadoes could happen at any time. But I don't envy you guys your hurricanes. Scares me. But I guess now in today's world, you have enough of a warning from the weather people, and if you live there, you know how to prepare for it. But I look at everybody evacuating, and oh my, we run and hide. I do anyway. I don't like tornadoes. I never did. I'd always have dreams about being caught in a tornado. Scary stuff when you're a kid, you know. You hear that stuff and you get scared. Ooh, I'm liking this. I don't know how much of a 4th of July it is, but I don't want to put blue on there because it'll turn everything green and brown. So I'm just going with my yellows and oranges here. Oh, really? August the 2nd. What grade do you teach? Wow. August 2nd. Hi, Anne. Artsy girl. There are no basements in Florida. And we're talking about hurricane season down in Florida. We've been talking about how hot it's been here. And I just kind of I'm painting some composition book paper. I'm getting ready to do a section in my Society of Idea Collectors for July. If you go to my community tab, you'll see I just put up a link to a video that Tanya McGuire did, a tutorial. I was in her live session last night, and we kind of did a group think on a technique to do painted borders. She was jelly plating, and I was wondering in that session there, I said, well, I wonder if you could do page borders, because I've been into doing illuminated page borders in my mornings with Mary. And so she tried it, and we came up with some really fun techniques. And so after her live session, she did a tutorial. And so that's what I'm doing here, only I want my composition paper to be colored, because and it's really wet now. After it dries, it'll fade and get lighter, but I want to do the jelly plated borders on this, and then I'm going to use this as my July pages in my Society of Idea Collectors. And what I've been doing, I was showing it earlier, is I've been taking photos of the art when I put up my daily videos. I've been taking photos of that art after I snap my picture, and I put the photo of each one of my Mornings with Mary video, the art that I do, and then I'll do a little journaling below. So heat gun alert, the 12th. Wow. Yeah, I did not expect anybody to come in here this early in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I was wide awake. And I knew that I did not have a video. Usually I'm trying to put up a video every morning for my Mornings with Mary. And I didn't get it done for today. So I thought, oh, I'm just going to go live and work on these pages, because I want to get these done. So I think I came in here about 4:45 my time and started working on this. What time is it now? It's a little bit after 5. I didn't expect anybody. In fact, my thought was that if anybody comes in here this early in the morning, they would probably be from across the ocean. So I got you folks in Florida. You're early risers. Oh, I'm liking how this is turning out. See, it was really dark, because it's still kind of dark in there. While it's wet, it's really dark. But as it dries, it gets lighter. And this will be fun to use to write on. And then I'm going to do my borders on the sides here. Oh, I cannot wait to do this. I'm inspired. I am inspired. Society of Idea Collectors. For anybody who watches the replay and was curious about what Society of Idea Collectors is a project by Dee Dee Willingham. She's had it going on for a good year now. I think she's on episode 36, 35 or 36. And it's all about inspiration, collecting ideas for art, how to get ideas, where to take them. You know, it's just right down my alley. I'm just having all kind of fun with it. Ooh, I'm liking this. I am liking this page. My first page was a flop. I did not have my wax paper down here, and it stuck to my desktop because I just have a painted paper desktop. I'm going to put this aside and let the rest of it dry, just naturally. I have to do 8 of those pages. What is TPA, Artsy? Marilyn, what's TPA? I don't know what TPA means. Tampa Public? Is it Tampa? 12th graders. Oh, you teach the 12th grade. Oh, wow. Right there at the senior year. Oh, special ed? Okay. Cool. Cool. Yeah, teachers do not get all the credit that they deserve. We all know that. We cannot get along without good teachers. And what you have to go through to teach these days, I don't know. I'm from a small town, so I'm sure there are problems in our public school that I'm not aware of because I'm not involved in all of that. But, oops. Tampa. I was in Tampa once several years ago, so I went there for a job interview. Well, not Tampa, Dunedin. Dunedin was where I interviewed. Well, I'm doing yellow again here. I meant to do blue. Let's see if I can do some of this light blue and keep it separate from the yellow. Yeah, I interviewed in Dunedin. I don't even know if the company's still there. In the 1980s, there's a company there that does, or did ratings for television. They were, you know, that's that company that they contact people and they give them a little meter or questionnaires and have them rate for like a month and rate the programs and everything. I interviewed for that company and they were in Dunedin, which I went through Florida, through Tampa to get to Dunedin, which is kind of like a nice little Florida town. Water in your backyard, though. They had me stay in a hotel, and I walked out on my deck, and there was the Gulf of Mexico. I said, oh, I'm used to green grass and trees. There's a sea out there. It's all water. Now, I'm sure that, you know, Florida is not all like that, but it was kind of change for this Midwestern gal. Now, I don't want to mix that too much. I got a little ombre effect going on in there, but I don't want too much green. I think I'm just going, maybe I'll put just a little red here along the, because I'm going to put my borders on here. So this yellow will probably be, if I get too much red, the yellow will probably be fading out because I'll be doing the border. Well, maybe that will be in there. I'm not gonna touch it too much. You were special ed aide for 12 years before becoming a teacher. Wow. I'll bet you're one of the good ones too. 12 years special education. Bless your heart. You trained the school district teachers and did research and writers festivals. Oh, how cool is that? You had a house on a pond in Dunedin? Oh, how neat! How neat! Now, see, I was just there for the interview. I was actually living out in Denver at that time. I was younger. I was several years ago. I was in the mid-1980s. And they flew me out there. You know, I was really right for the job, but I don't think that I was from the Midwest. I'm not sure I could have acclimated to Florida, but that's a whole nother story. I did not go down that path, so, but I wish, I was just there for the weekend, and I wish I could have explored the Florida region a lot more. I wish I would have had like a week or 2 weeks down there. Maybe someday I'll get to go back. Because I'm sure that it's not all. This year I will be teaching government and economics plus American military history. Oh, Anne, see, that's right. I don't know about the economics. You're going to make me do my art budget. But history. I am a history. I wouldn't call myself an expert in it, but I love to read about history. If I find a really good history book at a thrift store, it's mine, if it's available. And, you know, you don't have to, for somebody my age, I don't have to sit down there and read it chapter by chapter by chapter and study it. I can enjoy that book and just read bits of history. You know, and I enjoy doing that. I'm going, oh, I didn't know that. They didn't teach me that in school. Yeah, history was one of my favorite topics. I think that I appreciate my history teachers. You love history the most? Cool. Marilyn says, we have an art festival every year in Dunedin. Oh, wow. How cool is that? I'm going to go ahead and flip this over, even though it's kind of wet. Let's see if I can't go ahead and do the other side. Cool, cool school. Yeah, I'll bet you guys would be wanting a cool school here if you start school the 2nd. I don't know if they start school that early here. I know they start it early. We're already starting to see school supplies pop up in Walmart. But when I went to high school, we didn't start till after Labor Day. They let us have our August to ourselves. Well, mostly because I don't know what it is like now, but, you know, in those days, a lot of the families were still taking vacations, their summer vacations in August. My next page is going to be blues and green. I don't want to get too wet there. Yeah, I'm kind of using up that yellow. I'm using an old set of ink tints because I don't want I want to use it up. I've had this set of ink tints for years and years and years. And I'm amazed. I'm amazed at how they have lasted me. And I've used them on many, 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 many projects. But they're really perfect for this project, for doing the pages, because the pages dry light. Let me reach over for this one. The pages drop. I have to reach down and get it. They dry light. They're crinkly. You could even iron them out, but I don't think I will. The pressure the book will. But they're permanent. Ink tints is permanent. And I can write on here, journal on here, put my photographs on here, do my jelly plate borders without worrying about this page background, this beautiful page background coming off and bleeding into my other art or my other work on that page. See, look at the difference. This is nice and dry, or it's fairly dry, and this is all wet. It's so much more dark. Oh! And I keep dropping the phone. This is my old phone. I keep dropping I have to keep it charged. It doesn't hold the charge. I have to keep it plugged in or it'll be down to 14%. Hi, Kim Marie. Good morning, my lady. Kim Marie, I saw your wonderful haiku. I just haven't got a chance to comment on them yet. My weekend was kind of nuts. Thank you for writing haiku for me. Kim Marie, I didn't get a video done this morning, so about 3:45 my time, I said, I'm going to go do an early morning live. I want to get it done before Dee Dee comes on. So I'm working in my Society of Idea Collectors. I'm preparing pages. If you watch Tanya McGuire's videos from, I put a link in my community tab, but we were in her live session last evening and she was working on a jelly plate and we got into this discussion of doing borders, page borders. You know, I'm into this little page border thing, and she did some wonderful page borders. And so after her live session, she did a tutorial. I am so into that. And so I'm preparing some pages. I'm going to come back in on, I'm doing my July pages for my Society of Idea Collectors. And I'm going to come back in and I'm going to do a jelly plate technique for like an illuminated border for my Society of Idea Collectors. And I've been painting these with ink tints so that I have some pictures of my Mornings with Meri art that I'm going to put on here, and then I'm going to journal down here. That I'm using the ink tints because it dries permanent. I'm just loving this. I am loving it. I'm going to go to the heat gun here if I can find what I did with it. Yes, the jelly borders. So fun to do. Yep, Society of Idea Collectors, Dee Dee Willingham, our inspiration. I just, whenever she does I got to catch up with her last one. I think she did some painty papers on her last one. And then her grandson came in and was doing a portrait toward the, my goodness, I think she was on for 6 hours last, was it Monday or Wednesday? I can't remember. But I need to catch up with it. I didn't catch her at the beginning. She did a Society of Idea Collectors at the beginning. I came in when her grandson was working on the portrait. Ann says she thinks teachers are the worst students. I don't know. You probably have more insight into that than I do. I had some good teachers who inspired me, and then I had some teachers that, well, you know, if you can't find anything good to say, just be quiet, Meri, you're on live. Let's talk about the teachers that inspired me. My high school art teacher, I attended a small school, and it consolidated, and then I went to a little bit bigger small school. But we never had art classes until it was my sophomore year when I went to that consolidated school, and boy, when I got to go into an art class, that was the big thing for me. I love my art classes. My high school art teacher inspired me a lot. I call her Mrs. Wilkins. I don't have my dress form here with me down in Nebraska, but I have a dress form, an antique dress form, that I call one of my studio mascots. And I named her Mrs. Wilkins after my high school art teacher. I wonder if she's still alive. She's probably in her 80s or 90s now, because yeah, she's got to be in her 80s or 90s. My art teachers in college, I don't know, I struggle with that because my college years were a struggle for me. I did much better after I went to business school, so I don't have a lot to say about my art instructors in college. It was a very turmoil time in our society in general because of the Vietnam War and, you know, just a lot of crap going on. A lot of things that, I don't know. But I did have a really good drawing teacher. I was good at drawing anyway on my own. But I had a really good drawing instructor. She was a lady, and she inspired me. She didn't compare me. She inspired me. I did good in her class. And then I had an English teacher who inspired me. Rather than follow the curriculum, let me read the books that I wanted to read. And at that time, I was into reading a lot of I love to read. I'm into reading novels now because I like to read them just for pleasure. But at that time, I really enjoyed reading autobiographies and biographies, and I did almost my entire class project was on biographies. And I did this huge report thing. Oh, look how this is drying. I'm liking that. Yep, what's going on here? Kim, I watch as long as I... Oh, yeah. Kim, don't worry about watching. if you have to get, there's a lot of folks who come in here already who came in just to say hi, and they're getting ready to go to work. So have a good day at work. Meri gets to stay home and play with her ink tints and her Society of Idea Collectors journal. I do kind of, I'm still keeping my eye out for a part-time job, though. I think that I still have a productive part of me that can be productive in the work world, you know, and, you know, maybe 20 hours a week, something like that. I still would like to kind of do that. It's a little bit harder where I'm at in a small town in Nebraska to find something that fits you. So, but I haven't dismissed the idea of picking up a part-time job. It would help me buy my art supplies. I wish I could make more money through YouTube, through their AdSense programs. But I get paid probably about every 3 months, and I try to go out and buy some art supplies. I'm deciding I'm getting another check coming up here pretty soon, so I try to buy art supplies with it. 673 more working days, and I get to stay home too. All right, Kim Marie, we're going to count them down for you. That's just a couple years, isn't it? I mean, well, it may be more than a couple if you're counting, you know, work weeks. Five days to a work week. So I don't know how you're doing that, but a couple years. Yeah, I think Dawn at Let's Make a Mess Today, she talks about her pending retirement. I was kind of a, oh yeah, I just did both sides of this page. I'm going to set this aside and let it finish drying on its own, because I need to move along. I need to move along. I'm only on page 3 out of 8. I thought I'd have more done by now. I'm going to do blues and greens on this page. 2021. Well, that's 3 years. That's not, those will go faster than you think. That's not that far away. This is 2018, so make the most of them. Ooh, that's a lot of blue. Let's spread it out, Meri. I was not expecting to retire when I did. I like I said, even now, I think I can still be productive out in the work world. Maybe not 40 hours a week. And in Nebraska, you know, the jobs just are not there. And I was in programming. And I'd have to go to Lincoln or Omaha. And even then, the jobs aren't what they used to be when I lived in Madison. But heck, I can still answer a phone. I could do office type work. We've got a little medical clinic down here. I keep telling my brother if they ever need a receptionist at that medical clinic, I don't think it's open every day. But I could do something. I'd enjoy doing something like that. Just being there for a few hours every week. So I'm keeping my eyes open. There's been a few opportunities here, but nothing that I felt like fit me. And I need to, that's the important thing too, is I need to find something where it fits me. I mean, there are some types of work that I just would not be good at. I'm just going to leave it like that. Wow. 27.5 years in the work world. That is so cool. All on one job or just general career-wise, 27.5 years. What do you do, Kim Marie? Can you tell us what career field? Well, you just be a young'un. I'm not quite there yet, but it won't be long. We're probably about the same age. What's your career field, Anne? Kim Marie. I was reading Anne's. I know Anne said she was a teacher, and Marilyn, she probably had to, Artsy Marilyn, I don't know if she's still in here. She taught. Yeah, now see, department specialist, kind of a dual secretary. That takes a lot more skill, I think, than people realize, because you know you're asked to do a lot of different tasks. I have a thing to say to these bosses. Yeah, see, I think I could do something like that on a part-time basis, or maybe, like I said, at this little medical clinic. We're a small town, but it's like a block, maybe 2 blocks from where I live. And, you know, I could see putting in some hours there every week. They'd probably want me to volunteer, though. I don't mind volunteering, but that's not the object of going back to work part-time. Oh, you're building databases. I'll bet you're good at it, too. See? You should be in IT. What are you being called a department specialist? You should be more paid at IT rates. What database are you using? Is it... the one I'm familiar with is Access. It could be, you may be on a larger system, computer system. My brain hurts. Our IT doesn't do much. Yeah. Yeah. And they get credit for being geniuses, huh? I've been in the IT field too long, Kim Marie. I understand completely. Yeah. Access a lot, but also Excel and SQL. Yeah, if you've got good SQL skills, that's a good skill to have. Even Access is a good skill, but it's really important with SQL that you know how to build that query so that you can go to that database and get the information that you need at the time. That's what SQL is all about, is building those queries and saying, what tables do I need to access to get the information that I'm looking for, and get it all and make sure I have it all and build it into a report or a form or whatever you're building it into to do what you need to have done. That is a good skill to have. They're going to miss you in 3 years. My page is still a little wet, but I think I'm going to flip it. My first page was a disaster because I didn't have wax paper down and it stuck to my desktop. I'm going to do greens. What is this page? Is this 3 or 4? I think this is only page 3. It's really 4 because I messed up my first one, but I want to do 8 pages. I might be... Oh, you're still here, Marilyn. Okay. Oh, you must be across the sea. 3:30 a.m. Thanks for popping in, Marilyn. Sweet dreams. Get some rest. Do you have to work today, Kim Marie? I think you said you did. I think you're just here for a little bit. Once you have some type of language, SQL, DB2, C++, you have great solid base. You sure do. Those are all good skills to have. See, I grew up in the legacy world, Kim Marie. I grew up when I very first started out, if you had assembler language, you were set for life if you had assembler. Now, I think assemblers still exist, but they don't write so much in it anymore. if you know it well enough to maintain what those programmers did in the 70s, it's all back end in larger companies. And even then, they're starting, well, they even started, they probably have pretty much replaced a lot of those old legacy programs. But COBOL was my big skill. And DB2, I've taken classes in Java, not C++. I think I had one class in C, not C++. But I got tied up in the year 2K. My goodness, it's 2018. It's been 18 years. They used a lot of us who had the legacy skills in year 2K work. We all, you know, everybody was afraid the world was going to blow up at the turn of the century because the computers were not going to do the dates right. I did a lot of year 2K maintenance as a consultant, computer consultant. And then you kind of get tied into that world as a mainframe programmer, and it was really hard to break into. You had to have a very supportive team and boss, and traditionally, bosses are going to support their full-time employees rather than a consultant or somebody who's coming in as a temporary employee. So I didn't get the transition over into the Java and the C++ and some of the... I did get a lot of web-based stuff just because I had to interact with the front end from the back end. I got a lot of... touched on that with workman's compensation. But, yeah, then our company went through some downsizing, and the rest is history. I'm an unwilling retiree who loves her art world. DB2 has gone to the wayside too. We are replacing our legacy. We replaced our legacy in 2000. It was sad. Well, you know, it is kind of sad to think of that legacy going, but in a way, it's meant to be. It's kind of like watching your kids grow up. You know, if we would technically stay where we were with COBOL and assembler, and if those other languages would not been permitted to develop and be what they are today, I'm not sure I'd like that. But I also think that a lot of the legacy IT workers got shunted off and were not able to develop their skills into the more object-oriented languages because there was this thought that once you're a legacy programmer, you're always a legacy programmer, and you cannot think in terms of object-oriented programming techniques. And, you know, that was kind of like they looked for those skills for kids coming right out of school. And I really do think, you know, if you ask me my personal opinion, which I'm going to tell you anyway, I think that was a mistake on the part of the IT management in general. I think that they lost a lot of good skills that are there that are not technical skills. They lost a lot of brain power of people who knew what the projects were supposed to be about, and knew how things worked in the background that may not have been, I mean, to make the COBOL programs and the legacy programs run, they knew the theories and they knew their systems. And I you know, but they aren't going to listen to me. I was just a little programmer. So there you go. I can't change what happens, and, you know, you can't make those decisions. You can just have your opinion, and that's the way it goes. But I do appreciate the new, I like to see the languages develop. If DB2 is going by the wayside, then it probably should. If there are new ways to do things, those ways should be developed and and used. And it's kind of like you're going from an old radio to the web. I mean, look, if we wouldn't have the web now, if we would have kept the old mainframe computers, or we wouldn't have it in the same way. We wouldn't have, well, it's gone from PCs on your desk to laptops to mobile phones. Yeah, I like to sit and chatter. It's all opinion. It's all opinion. But I do think that a lot of mainframe programmers got the raw end of the deal career-wise. And I don't know. You can't change it, though. Things are what they are. I dropped this old phone. It's going to go by the wayside one day. It's going to die on me. I have to keep it plugged in. And we still all have on. Yeah. Well, some of them now. Some of them probably were able to. The senior programmers and programmers who are at the same job for like 20 years, you know, their careers probably were still intact. They were probably considered valuable employees. So not everybody got booted out, but if you were like a mid-level programmer, and if you were brought in temporary to do year 2K programming, they were not concerned about your career path at all. So, and really it's kind of your responsibility, and they keep saying that. It's your responsibility to develop your skills, and I get that. I understand that. But I would go and take a Java class, and then I had no place to use those skills in the business world to get the experience that I needed to go to the next position. If you were a COBOL programmer, you were automatically a COBOL programmer for life. They just would not open the door. And I think that was a mistake on their part. But, oh well. I got my art. I'm not complaining today. I'm just having something to say about it. All right, that was page number 3 out of 8. Well, actually, I'm doing the front and back, so. What time is it getting to be? It's almost 5:30. You know, Kimmery, this Inktense, it's just like a little 12 set. I got it at Michael's. You can see I don't use the grays so much, and this is kind of a gray-green. My yellow's about gone. But I've noticed about Inktense, you have to, you can probably tell here on this blue because I was just using it, you have to put a lot of water in there. I don't know if you watched how I was splashing water in there. I don't know what it is about Inktense. It's different than watercolor in that as I'm using it, it just seems to absorb. Those blocks seem to absorb that water. I'm continually splashing water on here to splash it on my page. I got splashed there. So I use a lot. I'm going to go to browns on this page. I am using a lot of water on here. You can't, like in watercolor, you mist it, and you can go back to that. You mist it and let it, you know, activate the watercolor. But I don't know. For me, what I'm seeing is that my Inktense seems to absorb this water more than what I would expect. And I don't know if it's just the nature of the makeup of the Inktense block. I don't know. But what I like about these, I'm amazed. I am totally amazed at how long this set of 12 has lasted me. I mean, I don't use them continually, but I've had this set of Inktense for, well, since I came down here. Probably since about 2012 or 2013 I got them. I don't know exact year that I got them, but But yeah, I get them pretty wet. I use them just like you would a watercolor palette. And I'm amazed that this composition book paper is holding up to them. It got pretty wet on my tabletop. When I was using it on my tabletop, it stuck to my tabletop, my paper did. And it tore, I couldn't get it up easy. Now that I have wax paper under there, it comes up pretty easy. Well, I wanted more browns on there. I got a lot of green on it. Oh, there you go. But it looks pretty dark while it's wet, but it dries. My sepia color is getting pretty used too. But I'm going to be putting border on there, so I don't need so much ink. But okay. Yeah, I like it. It's not the same as watercolor, Anne. It's not, you know, watercolor, I don't have a lot of artist grade watercolor. I've got a few things with Daniel Smith, but I don't have a lot. So it's not like an artist grade watercolor. It's more like a block. And I like it because it's permanent and you can layer with it. But it kind of dries matte. It does dry matte. It doesn't have that beautiful sheen that you might see with some of the watercolors. And not everybody likes Inktense blocks. Some artists don't care for them, but I love them. I got the big 72 set as a present from Meri to Meri last year. And I'll have them for years. Are you going to do some of the jelly borders before DD? Probably not, Anne. Probably not. I probably won't. I kind of have to set up. I just have a small work area, and I kind of have to set that all up. So I'm just preparing my papers today. I want to prepare 8 pages and let them dry. And then I'll probably do the borders in a standalone video rather than a live session. But I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. So I said, I'm just going to go live and paint. At the beginning of this video, I kind of, well, you were here, Anne. You saw me come in. But for somebody else who just came in or who's watching, at the very beginning of this video, I went through what I've done so far in 2018 as far as my Society of Idea Collectors. Yeah, Kim Marie, it kind of depends on what you're doing. I mean, like, if you're doing a splashy page like this, you want to use a lot of water. But if you're painting a picture, well, it kind of depends. Like if you're doing detail work, or if you're painting a sky, you know, on paper, you might want to use a lot more water. Or if you're doing a broad area. But if you're doing detail work, you may want to get your block really wet. But now I've been doing green. Now this dark green, I haven't swished my brush through the dark green as much, but this light green right here, I had a lot of water splattered on that, and it's already absorbed a lot. It's really wet. My block is wet, but I find, maybe it's just my opinion again, but I find that these blocks absorb a lot of that water. You know, I say they drink it up. So if I wanted to do another really swishy page on a layer on here, I would be splattering more water on that green. My yellow and my sepia, you can tell those are kind of the colors that I use a lot because they're getting pretty thin down there. I've got a lot of pigment left on the sides, but you can tell I go right down the center with my brush. I'm going to switch this page if I can. It's still wet, but I got to hurry this process along. Let's see. I've only got 12 colors to choose from. Maybe I'll go with this magenta color. it shows up really dark, but it'll dry lighter. It'll dry lighter. I don't think I would like it this dark. If it dried this dark, I don't think I would be happy with it. But it dries a lot lighter. Let's see. And maybe I'll get some of that orange in with the magenta. Kind of, I don't know, maybe some of the yellow too. Well, the yellow may not have been a good idea. Kind of hit it to brown. This is fun to do. This is fun to do. It's just fun to get in there and splash around like you're... Well, now I have to tell you two things. And I'll talk about a couple of dreams that I have. My most recent watery dream, which kind of reminds me of this, I dreamt that I was mopping a floor. I must have been watercoloring. But I dreamt that I was mopping a floor, and I threw watercolor. Oh, that's a thread from the composition book. I dreamt that I threw watercolors in my mop water. I started mopping with my watercolor. Mopping the floor with watercolor. What a dream. What a dream that was. That was several months ago, but I still remember throwing watercolor in my mop water, using my mop as a brush, painting the world with my watercolors, with my mop water. And then when I was younger, I had a dream, and this was while I was still in school. In fact, I was in college. And it was one of the teachers, about one of the teachers that I disagreed with a lot, to put it politely. And I dreamt that I was going into this rainbow. And, I mean, there were big bubbles of color all around me. You know, a transparent, you know, like you pop bubbles. There were big, in this rainbow, there were big bubbles of color. And I was in there, and there were other people in there, and we were just splashing around like kids in a pool. And that teacher stood out on the edge, and she said, "You get out of there. You get out of there now." I said, "No, I'm not getting out. I'm not coming out. I'm staying right in here with all the color." And I knew I wasn't alone. I knew that there were other people in my dream. I knew that there were other people in that rainbow world enjoying those big bubbles of color. But I think it was a combination of my conflict with that teacher, her ordering me to come out of my beautiful color world into her world of black and white. I'll never forget that. She saw the world a lot differently than I did. She saw it in terms of black and white. And I wouldn't say I saw the gray values as much as I saw all the colors. I saw these big, beautiful bubbles of color in that rainbow, in my dream. And I still remember that dream. It's like I can close my eyes and be in that rainbow. So I told you a story. I'm wanting to pull this up and move on. I think even though it's awfully wet, I'm going to put it over here on the floor. I kind of got a plastic mat that my chair is sitting on. I'm just going to put it on there and let it dry if I don't back my chair up over it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 4 more to go. But if I don't sit and wait for them to dry, I'm fine. My wax paper is awfully wet, though. Let's see if I can't just absorb some of that water off of my paper. Oh, I got 2 on it. Mary making the world more beautiful, one painting at a time. Oh, Kim. There are a lot of artists making our world beautiful, one painting at a time. There's a lot of artists out there. I enjoy YouTube videos so much, the art videos. So, kind of picked up some dark colors from my wax paper there. Let's see, I don't have a lot to choose from. These are the browns and grays. I got purple here. How about going with some purples in here? Dark, well, that's a dark blue, I guess. I thought I had a purple. Maybe I'll mix it with this magenta. I kind of like that. Now it does dry a lot lighter. Right now it looks dark. Kind of even looks dreary. But it'll dry. It'll dry lighter. It'll be pretty when it's dry, Mary says. Mary says it'll look pretty. Just give it time. Put more of that magenta on there. Well, Kim Marie and Ann, I appreciate you guys popping in and saying hello to me. Like I said, I did not expect anybody I thought I'd be sitting here alone. But that's okay, because I don't mind that, because I was just going to do a live session just to get a video out there. I kind of like the fact that I don't have to edit this. You get to see all my mistakes as I make them live. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it like that. It'll dry nice. It will. Flip it over and let's do some yellows and oranges. I don't have a lot of choices here. I've only got 12 choices. Yeah, and if you're careful, this composition paper will hold up to a wet page. You got to be careful. Use wax paper underneath of it. And once it's dry, it'll be fine. I'm going to put some magenta on there, I think, toward the end over here. Now, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my brush. I'm just kind of sweeping my brush across the page. That may have something to do, too, to avoid tearing it. I can't wait to do the borders, the jelly print borders. But I'm going to have to let these dry pretty fast before I get that done. Yeah, see, I put yellow over that magenta color and it just doesn't do good. So I'm going to call that page done. If I concentrate, I can do them a lot faster if I don't stop and gab, tell my stories, but the pages are really wet. Come on. The pages are dripping wet. Not dripping wet, but they're wet enough. I got to find a place to put it. I got to get up and go across the room. I have to find a place to put these pages. Wait. It's still wet. It's folding up on itself. And I'll put it on here. 1, 2, 3. I think I've got 5 done. I've got 3 left to go. Yeah, my wax paper's pretty wet. See if I can absorb some of that moisture. Doesn't make for a pretty page on there, but I'll be painting that. All right, let's see. Hi, Linda McAllister. Welcome. Good afternoon. Linda, I forget what country you said you were from. I know you're from across the ocean from me, but I forgot what country. Where you from, Linda? Tell me again. The Netherlands. The Netherlands. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Good afternoon. I am painting composition book pages with ink tints for my Society of I'm going to do a section of July in my Society of Idea Collectors journal. And what I'm doing is, let me show you a dried one here, because the wet ones look kind of dark. But here's one that's dry. You can see it's kind of crinkly. But what I'm going to do is, if you look at my community tab, Linda, you'll see that I have a link to a video that Tanya McGuire did. And we got into discussion of doing page borders. You know, I've been doing a lot of page borders in my Mornings with Meri journal. And she did page borders using her jelly plate, and they turned out so cool. And I do want to do a July section in my Society of Idea Collectors where I do those page borders. And then I've been taking photographs of my work that I do in my Mornings with Meri. And I've been in May and June, and I'm going to do the same thing in July, and I'm going to put that photograph there, and then I'm going to journal down here. But the reason I'm painting my pages is that I want a pretty colored background to work on. And this is the first one, well, actually, it's the second one I did. The first one I didn't have wax paper down, so it stuck to my desk. But this one's pretty dry. This one is really pretty. I'm liking it. So when the others dry, when they're wet, they don't look like much. When they're wet, they kind of look dark and dreary. But when they dry, they look pretty. So I got 8 of these to do, front and back. I'm on the 5th one. I'm back, I'm back. Sorry. Sorry. See, I got talking. I was just off in my own world, chattering away. Didn't even notice that I was spinning. Let me fix my screen. Sorry about that. Yeah. This screen lags. It kicked me off again. I don't know why. I guess because here it's getting later in the morning and people are starting to bop on the internet. I don't know why. Early in the morning, the wee hours of the morning, I didn't have any problems. I started this around 3:45 till 4. Now it's what? It's almost 6 o'clock and it's starting to... Happens around a.m. there. I guess, I don't know. I tend to blame YouTube. I tend to blame YouTube because I have to tell you, I can be on a video manager application almost all day. Hours and hours. 8 hours on that, and I never get kicked off. Never get kicked off on that. So that makes me not want to blame my internet connection. I think it's the way that YouTube interacts with the mobile apps. It kicked me off again. Kicked me off again. I didn't even notice. I was sitting here painting. I did this page while you were gone. That's just shining, the light shining on the page. I've only got 2 pages left to do here. I think this is my 6th one. I'm going to do another blue, but I'm having to take these pages and put them across the room to dry because I'm running out of place to put these. I'll tell you, I need a studio that's 14 feet long. Let me fix this. Come on. There, I'm back. So we've got 8 people in here. Hi, Dances with Pit Bulls. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. I decided to do an impromptu live. I've been painting background pages with and I'm just swishing the paint on there for my Society of Idea Collectors. And I'm using my old ink tints blocks, and I'm just coloring the background pages. Let me grab the first one that I did here. They end up looking like this. And then I'm going to do a jelly-plated border. If you look in my community tab, you'll see there's a link to Tanya McGuire's video where she's doing borders. we kind of, in our live, she had a live session last night, and we got into this discussion of using a jelly plate to do page borders, and she did some beautiful things. And she also did a frame. Go watch that video. I tell you, I'm totally inspired. Well, I want to use this as a section in my Society of Idea Collectors, so I need 8 pages. And I think this is my 7th one. And my phone cord fell out again. I'm just 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock, things start happening. I think the wee hours of the morning is probably the best time to go live. All right, I'm going to do another green one. I think I'll do a green one. Concentrate more on the greens on my last 2 pages. I think this is page 7. I like green. It's really not my go-to color, but I do like it. And it's a nice summer color, probably more for June than July. July things start turning brown. The sun, the hot weather. And I'm just splashing this on. I'm using a lot of water with my ink tints. And I keep saying, I was telling Kim how I really think that the ink tints drinks the water. It just seems to react better when you almost, I almost have a puddle of water on my ink tints blocks. And it seems to like that, and it seems to absorb it. But here again, I'm using this like a watercolor palette. I'm not just, using it. Well, you can take your ink tints blocks out. Like this one here is a white one that's cut. You can take them out and make marks across your page and then activate it that way. But I don't do it that way. I like to use them as paint. And I love that they dry permanent and you can layer with them. All right, I lost chat. Where's my chat? Where's my chat? All right, come on. Where's my chat? I have to go out and come back in, I guess. There it is. Thumbs up is not working. Oops. Oh, well, you have the right idea, Linda. Thank you for the verbal thumbs up. You got the 24 ink tints block set and you love them. I like them too. Not everybody likes them, but I like them. I like my ink tints. I love to work with them. They're not the same as using watercolors. I think somebody who's really into watercolor and has the watercolor, professional watercolor people, I think they expect I'm going to do reds on this. I think they kind of are trying to do watercolor using ink tints, and the two products react differently. Similarly, they're similar, but they're different. I think the ink tints dry a lot more matte. They don't have that pretty sheen that some watercolors do. But I love them because you can layer with them. Pin. I don't know who Pin is, Linda. Pin loves her ink tints pencils. I don't think I have any ink tints pencils. I would probably like them. The thing that I really don't like, the thing that I do like about pencils is that you can sharpen them, and so you can do a lot of nice detail work with them. But I don't like the wood. I don't like the wood because I feel like I'm sharpening away a lot of my lead. A lot of that beautiful ink gets lost in your sharpener. That's why I like the blocks. Now, I saw a product recently where they are selling, and I don't know which one it is because I moved on. I couldn't afford it. But they were selling woodless pencils. And I don't know if they were watercolor or just colored pencils, but they did not have the wood on them. And I like those because those are like they're like if Inktense would do that, they would be like a watercolor block in a pencil form to where you could get a lot of detail. But you probably have to be careful with those too. Can't put a lot of pressure on them. You'd break them, but. Getting ready for work? Linda says, Pen is her best friend from England. Okay. And she likes her Inktense pencils. Cool. Well, guess what? I got to work and I only have one page left to go. And it's a good thing, too, because I'm running out of space to put my paper. That's the problem with having a small area to work in, especially when you do multiple pages like this. Now, these will dry nice. They're wet. When they're wet, they're really dark, but they'll dry light, and they'll be fun. When the light shines on them, you can kind of get an idea of how they'll dry. But let me put this over across the room on a flat surface here to dry. And let me do page 8. I'll bore you guys to death with my Inktense pages here. I didn't expect anybody to come in and visit me, and I sure do appreciate it. Love it. I'm kind of absorbing the water on this wax paper. Kind of gets the page dirty, but oh well. I feel yellow coming on. Let's do some sunshine. Yeah, we need the hot July days. Let's do some sunshine. Maybe I'll do this as page 1 in my section. I feel sunshine. Who knows how this will end up when I get it on the jelly plate. I should probably do more than 8 because I'll probably goof some up. But that's okay. I'm only going to do 8 today. Maybe I'll just be careful. I also made some pages with oxide. They look great. Are you talking about the distress oxides, Linda? That sounds interesting. I haven't got a lot of those. I should probably invest in some, but I don't have anything against them. Someday maybe they'll go on sale like the FW Inks did. Then I'll run and get them. I've never used acrylic inks before Hobby Lobby had that sale, and I am so in love with my acrylic inks. Love them. Distress exercise. Hi, Eva. Welcome, lady. Eva, I have done 8 pages. I'm just coloring composition pages. I'm getting ready to do a section in my Society of Idea Collectors, and I want some painted background pages. So I'm doing them with my Inktense because Inktense dries permanent. I'm going to do oranges. I want this to be a bright page. But I only got 12 colors, so I'm kind of limited in my color range because I'm using my old setup here. I've got a set of 72 that I got last year, but I want to use those for other projects. I just want to use these up. What, Linda? I thought it rarely got over 77. Maybe in a different area. You must be talking about 100? Oh, in the Netherlands? Well, I guess they have their summers too, don't they? Alrighty. I think this is page 8. Woohoo! Now I'll wait for all these pages to dry, and then I'll go in and see if I can do the same border technique that Tanya McGuire did. I am so anxious to try that. I am not an expert at the jelly plate, though. I have one, but I have not used it very much. I'm going to set these ink tints down. Put my brush away and see what's going on in chat. No, Eva, these are for my Society of Idea Collectors. I was showing this at the beginning of my session here. Let me show you what I'm doing here. If I can find it. If I can find it. I don't know what I did with it. Come on, I know it's here. Here it is. Let me reach down. In my Society of Idea Collectors. Oh, maybe I should move this. Gotta get set up here. Gotta get set up. Now, there. Okay. In my Society of Idea Collectors for like January, February, and March, I have been doing my like Dee Dee does. Like this is March. I took January and February out and put it in my custom keeper. But she starts out doing her syllables pages on an art for like her weekly pages. So that's what this is for March. These are just using little syllables. Those are things that I did in March. Those are some of my bird carvings. And then here's my calendars pages where I just jot down little things that happen during the month. Just kind of remind me. I don't plan. This is more documentation. Kind of look back and say, oh yeah, I had my Friday live session and we did the bunny Easter eggs on the 16th of March. So that's what all this is. And then this is the back side. Well, this is some glue booking I did. And then these are the ending pages of March. We get into April. This is April's. I love this. I just love that. Lynn, my friend Lynn in Canada sent that to me. That's her art. I love it. I love it. Here's my April calendar page. Then when I get into May, I took a different, went down a different path in May. Here's my weekly art journal page using my syllables like Dee Dee does. This is week 2 and 3. I did my abandoned places page. I don't really do an abandoned places journal. I just haven't had the time to do a whole journal, so I did a page just because I wanted to. So that's week 3, and week 4. Instead of doing the calendar pages for May, what I did was I started doing my Mornings with Meri journal, and this is the art out of my Mornings with Meri. I did photographs of them. I had photographs printed off. I took them to Walgreens. So these are pages of my art. And then that's how I'm doing my daily pages, like May 1st, 2nd, you know, continuing throughout the entire month. I stopped at the 24th. I've got the pictures. I need to put them in, but I'd gotten this far, and I still had to do my, on May 24th. This was where I was on May 24th. So in June, here's what I did for June. I have my photographs for June are in here. I got to mount them in here. But I use metallic paint to do my June backgrounds for my June pages. Like in May, I did gold. In June, I did blue. But I haven't mounted these in here yet. I got to work on them. That's what I'm wanting to do. I'm doing these instead of my calendar pages. But now that I watched Tanya's video, I think I'm going to go in and do the borders off of her jelly plate on here. So I'll probably be using these when I do my jelly printing too. And these will be all my June pages. Well, this is July. So for July, what I want to do for July is I'm going to use my Inktense pages for July. So that's what these pages are all about. So all of these will be a section. I'll have my art. I have to do my art for June. I got it planned. It's in here somewhere. I have to do my art. So I fell again. I don't know how long I was gone. I don't know what you guys saw last, but I was showing you the different sections in my Society of Idea Collectors. So it must be getting busy at YouTube in California, because I was on at 3:45 this morning, had a pretty smooth session around, what time is it now? It's what, around, it's about 6:15 here. And I've already fallen 3 or 4 times in the last half hour. When y'all start coming in, I got 10 people in here. Welcome. Welcome, Patricia. You woke up early this morning, and it's a surprise to see Meri going live. I couldn't sleep. I was up at 3:30. I couldn't sleep, so I said I knew I didn't have a video done, so I said I'm gonna go work in my art journal, and I might as well go live, because then I won't have to edit it. So I've been on for 2.5 hours. So welcome to those of you who peeked in on me. If you have time, I think several of you who need to hurry up and get off to work. But thank you for, I only do these impromptus every now and then. I do not do this on early mornings on a regular basis. I usually go live on, thank you, Patricia. I usually go live on Friday nights at 7:30 Central Time. That's my regular chat time. But I couldn't sleep this morning, and I thought, it's early in the morning. There probably won't be anybody streaming at the same time. And I don't have a video this morning, so I'm just going to go play in my art journal. So I'm getting ready to close out. Thank you all for coming. And Anne, if you're still in here, oh, hi, Heidi. Welcome. Thank you, Heidi. I appreciate all of you who comment on my videos. You know, you don't know how much you encourage me. I want to say that to everybody who's been watching my videos and leaving comments, and just, you have been a huge encouragement to me. And believe me, on this side of the fence, that is worth more to me than any super chat payment I could get, is that encouragement, that keep going, Meri, you know, we enjoy it and all of that. So, and it's just me playing in my art journal. Well, you comment quite a bit, Heidi. I see your comments. I don't get to reply every day either. See, on those days that I don't reply, I try to leave a thumbs up and a heart on your comments. That means I've read it, and I really do appreciate it. You can't make it to Friday nights? Well, that's understandable. Watch the replays. I don't want to give up my Friday nights, but I'll try to do some morning videos on a more consistent basis. I can't guarantee you that I will, because I have to tell you, I am really kind of a night owl. And the fact that I was still up at 3:30 kind of tells you that. Sometimes, though, I don't make it up in time to do an early morning video. It's that retirement thing. Yes, Linda, that's all about it. It's that little comment that you guys leave. You cannot believe what that means to me. That just, you know, that's for me, that's payment enough. YouTube can pay the rest. Oh, Eva, same to you. I so appreciate the people who come and watch my videos. So with that said, it's Monday morning here, and over in the Netherlands, it's probably into the afternoon or evening, probably. Thank you, Patricia. So I'm going to wish you all a very good week. And I'll be putting up more mornings with Meri videos. I try to do it every day, just try to do a little something. I'm into this haiku thing for July, but we'll be going on to something else in August. You hardly get a comment and made me quit my videos? Linda, you know, that makes me sad to hear. That just makes me sad to hear, because you need that. We all need that encouragement, you know. Even if you quit your videos, Linda, don't quit your art. You keep making that art, and if you ever get a urge to make a video again, let me know. I'll come comment. Did you hear what I said about a haiku? Wait. About your... Yes, I did, Heidi. I did. And I wrote one in my head, and I didn't write it down on paper. But I'm going to go out on the front porch and write another one, because that is an excellent idea. I have to get art into it somehow, because maybe I could art the neighborhood noises. That's an interesting thought. Because all my haikus are themed around art. I want them all to have that some sort of an art theme. Okay, good, Linda. And I hope to see you make more videos. You know, I think it's just kind of a function of the internet itself. I do think that people as a group tend, not so much, you know, we tend to group, like, you know, one artist has a following and another person who does videos have a following. But I think that once somebody gets, well, I want to say even over 10,000 people, you know, some of these people have 50,000, 100,000 subscribers. They don't have any trouble getting comments. And that kind of makes me sad, because it seems like people tend to go over there when there are so many really good smaller channels, really good things going on. Just like Tanya last night did that Borders jelly plating. She did a tutorial on it after our live session. That's worth going and taking a look at. It's on my community tab, but if you can't find my community tab, check out Tanya McGuire, Tanya space McGuire. Yes, Eva. Well, I'm going to let you all go. I'm going to wish you a really happy week. I hope to see those of you who are able to make it Friday night. Come join me Friday night. I'll bet she is. I'm going to go check out your channel again, Linda. I'm probably guilty of not going there. I need to check you out a little more. I'm going to say good night or good night. Good night. Good night to you on the other side of the world. Good morning to you. Have a really great week. Bye-bye for now.